Hello students, welcome to online biology class. Today we are going to cover day 4 of chapter 2. Every day you will be attending online class and will be doing the homework for that day. Make sure that you are with your textbook and notebook all the times while attending the online class. If you have any doubts, you will be having a synchronized class where you can interact and clarify your doubts. So children, in the last session you are being given an assignment to complete the events or steps of respiration. I hope you are done with it. And so in the last class we have clearly studied there are 5 steps or 5 events of respiration. Can you name what are those? Yes, the first one is the respiration. What about the next? Gases exchange at lung level, whereas the third one is transport of gases by blood, and the fourth one is gases exchange at tissue level, and the fifth one, final one, is cellular respiration. In the first class we have studied breathing is nothing but exchange of gases. So, and we have made it very clear that breathing is entirely different from respiration. So both of them don't have any connection with it. And for today's class, the aim of today's class is to understand breathing. And the main objective of today's class is to learn or to know what are the different parts included in breathing. And children, as I told you, breathing is nothing but exchange of gases. And we have made very clear that it takes place at lung level. Right? So that means the air from atmosphere is entering into our lungs. Now between this, that means from atmosphere till our lung level, what are the different parts the air is traveling? Let us see that in the pathway of air. So let me announce today's topic as pathway of air. Right? So now pathway of air we are looking after during breathing. So children, I hope you know that. So there are different sense organs on our face. Can you name a sense organ which is reliable to smell? Yes, right? Of course, that is nose. Right? Children, the nose has openings which are called as nostrils. There are 2 nostrils which are being separated from each other. The right is right nostril and the left one is called as left nostrils. And these nostrils are open out. So therefore, we call these nostrils as external naves, or otherwise we call them as naves. So the air from atmosphere enters into these nostrils. So nostrils makes the entry of air. The first part is nostrils. Nostrils are open out. Nostrils, I told you, these are also called as naves, or otherwise they are called as external naves. So the air from outside enters into our body through these naves or nostrils. So as the air makes its entry into our nostrils, then it enters, this nostrils leads into a cavity which is called as nasal cavity. So the same way we have 2 nasal cavities. One, the right external naves or the right nostrils leads into right nasal cavity, whereas left nostril leads into the left nasal cavity. And both these cavities are being separated by a wall, that is nothing but septum. So how many nails we have or nostrils we have? 2. And how many nostrils we have? 2. Right? So that means each nostril is leading into nasal cavity. So that means even we have 2 nasal cavities which are being separated by a septum. And at the entry of this nasal cavity, from the walls of nasal cavities, right, fine hairs are going to come up. In this particular picture diagram, you can look after. So this is the nasal cavity, right, and these are the nostrils, and the air from these nostrils are entering into this nasal cavity. So from the walls of this nasal cavity, so there are fine hair-like structures are going to come out. These hairs, they trap the dust particles or the foreign organisms or any other dirt particles are being prevented its entry further. That means, so the nasal cavity plays an important role in filtration of air. Right? Nasal cavity is playing an important role in filtration of air. How? I told you. So at the entry of nasal cavity, fine hair-like structures are being protruded, and these hairs, they trap the dust particles. They prevent the further entry of these dust particles into the nasal cavities. This is the first thing. When complete the inner lining of the nasal cavity is being lined by a mucous membrane, and this mucous membrane produces mucus. What do the mucous membrane produce? Mucus. And this mucus keeps the nasal cavity moist all the times. Right? The mucous membrane, which is being lined by the nasal cavity, it produces mucus, and this mucus keeps moist the nasal cavity moist all the times. So this is what is going to happen here. Now why? What is the necessary of this moisture in the nasal cavity? Look, so the air what is being taken into our body, it should be adjusted to our body temperature. For example, during the summer seasons, so the air is extremely hot, whereas during the winter season, so the air is extremely cool. Now, the hot air in the summer season and similarly the cold air in the winter season, it should be adjusted to our body temperature. This is being done in the nasal cavity, and that particular process is called as humidification. What is humidification? Adjustment of the temperature of air outside in the atmosphere to our body temperature in the nasal cavity is called as humidification. So because of this reason, we call nasal cavities as air conditioners of our body. What do we call them as? Air conditioners of our body. Why? What is the necessity to get into our body temperature? The inner linings of our respiratory tract, they are very soft, they are delicate. They can be damaged because of the temperature variations. In order to make it survive, so the air which is being at other than our body temperature, it is being adjusted to our body temperature in order to protect the inner linings of our respiratory tract. So the air which is entering into the nasal cavity, it takes up some of the moisture, right? Got it? So the role of nasal cavity in the pathway of air. So I told you the air from atmosphere enters into the nostrils. From nostrils it enters into the nasal cavity. Now what is happening in the nasal cavity? So first the air is being filtered, and the second thing, so humidification of air is going to take place. What is humidification? Adjustment of the temperature of air to our body temperature is called as humidification. Then from this nasal cavity, the air enters into pharynx. Right? So are you familiar with this word pharynx? Where did you come across it? Yes, you have come across it in the digestive system. Right? You have seen that. So the oral cavity, and here you can look at this is the oral cavity and this is the nasal cavity. Both of them they are leading, they are opening into a common passage which is called as pharynx. It is funnel-like tube, right? So it is a funnel-like tube, right? So both nasal cavity and oral cavity are being opened into the pharynx. The same way, the air from nasal cavity is entering into the pharynx, and further the process of humidification takes place in pharynx. Now, children, you may get a doubt. Sir, the food also enters into the pharynx. Air is also entering into the pharynx. Now, how this pharynx diverts the air into the lungs and how it is going to divert the food material into the stomach, right? So, am I clear to you? So, nasal cavity is also leading into pharynx. Oral cavity is also leading into pharynx. And I have told you, pharynx is a common pathway for both air as well as food. Now, what is your doubt? Right? So, what you may get a doubt is how this pharynx is diverting the air into trachea and food material into esophagus. Now, so this is little bit tricky, right? And for this, we can look after here a hyoid bone is being present, and to this hyoid bone there is a flap-like structure, a muscular flap-like structure you can look after. Yes, right. So now before going into that, you can look after this pharynx opens, right, into esophagus, and as well as it is leading into trachea. Pharynx open into esophagus as well as trachea. So now the air should enter into trachea, whereas the food material should enter into esophagus. Now, when you start eating, when you start chewing, right, and after that, so during the process of swallowing, so this epiglottis, now this epiglottis is partially closed, right? You can look after this is the trachea as I told you, right? So now you can look after on this trachea, the opening of this trachea is called as glottis. What is the opening of trachea called as? Glottis. Now, so this glottis is being covered with a flap-like structure which is called as epiglottis. Right? If this is the trachea and this is the epiglottis, it is a muscular flap-like structure. Right? It is leaf-like and flap-like structure which is always open. But at the time of swallowing, it is partially closed. When it is at the remaining time, it is open. So this epiglottis, it prevents the entry of food material into the trachea. Right? Epiglottis closes the trachea and it prevents the entry of the food materials into the trachea, so that the food material is being diverted into the esophagus. So, and complete the movement of this epiglottis is under the control of brain. Right? So the opening and the closing movement of epiglottis is under the control of brain. Suddenly, so that is the reason elders, they advise you not to talk while you are eating. So when you talk while you are eating, suddenly this epiglottis may be open and the food particle enters into trachea. Then that leads into an effect which is called as choking. What is this called as? Choking. Right? So, what is choking? The entry of food particles into trachea due to sudden opening of epiglottis is called as choking. Clear? Right. So, now this epiglottis, it prevents the entry of food particles into the trachea. Now, from pharynx, right? The first part of the trachea is called as larynx. You can look after. This is the first part of trachea. So this is called as larynx. Now the air from pharynx is entering into the first portion of the windpipe, which is called as larynx. This larynx contains vocal cords. When the air from the lungs comes out, this vocal cord they start vibrating. Now due to this vibration, sound is being produced. We are able to produce the sounds because of the vocal cords. And how vocal cords are producing the sound? Because of vibration. How vibrations are produced? Because of the air which is being expelled out from the lungs. So therefore we call this larynx as sound box, or otherwise we call commonly it as voice box. Now the air from larynx enters into the trachea, right? So trachea is commonly called as windpipe. It is a hollow pipe through which air is moving, that is wind is moving, therefore we call it as windpipe. Now this windpipe suffer from pressure differences, right? As air is entering inside and air is entering outside, there will be pressure difference. I hope you remember from esophagus. Esophagus is always collapsed, right? Only when the food particle comes due to this swallowing, and as a result peristaltis starts, then only esophagus is going to be open. But trachea is not like that. Trachea is always open. It cannot be closed. If trachea is being collapsed, then you can't imagine your life, because there is no exchange of gases. So trachea should not be collapsed. But due to the differences in the pressure of air, what you are taking in and what you are taking out or giving out, so that due to that pressure differences, trachea may be collapsed. So in order to protect from the collapsing, trachea is made up of C-shaped cartilaginous rings. You can look after, this is a C-shaped cartilage ring, let you imagine. And this is being joined by a ligament here. So, and one to another they are being arranged. And all these C-shaped cartilaginous rings together they form trachea. This trachea prevents from collapsing because of this C-shaped cartilaginous rings. And in our chest, right, at the end, the trachea divides into two branches. One it is right and the other one is left. The right branch and these branches are called as bronchus. Now the air from trachea enters into bronchus. Now right side one we call it as right bronchus, left side one we are going to call it as left bronchus. Each bronchus it opens or it leads into lung. Right bronchus opens into right lung, whereas left bronchus opens into left lung. Each bronchus is opening into the respective lungs of the respective sides. Now inside the lungs, this bronchus once again divides into bronchioles. They are being divided into bronchioles. So nearly about, so we have nearly about 30,000 bronchioles we are going to have. 30,000 bronchioles we are going to have in our lungs. And so these bronchioles they further divide, they branch out furtherly to produce alveolus. Right? They are small sac-like structures. Right? So they are opening into alveolus. Nearly about 600 million alveolus are being present. You can look after. So trachea to bronchus, bronchus to bronchioles. Bronchioles they are ending in the alveolus. They are grape-like, they are cluster, they are bunch-like structures. So finally they are ending into alveolus. Right? So I told you nearly about 600 million alveolus are being present. And this alveolus, they are being surrounded with the blood. Now, the air from nostrils entered into nasal cavity, from there into pharynx, then into larynx, then into trachea, then into bronchus, then into bronchioles, then into alveolus. Finally, it is reaching into the blood. The same way, the air, the carbon dioxide which is present in the blood, it moves from blood to alveolus, from alveolus to bronchus to bronchus, trachea, then larynx, then pharynx, then nasal cavity, then finally nostrils, and from nostrils it is being opened out into the atmosphere air. Right? And this is how the pathway of air is going to take place during breathing. And children, today you are going to write down about the pathway of air in the form of flowchart. The first question is pathway of air in the form of flowchart like this. Then the second question you are going to attempt is what is the role of epiglottis in human respiration? Right? So what is the role of epiglottis in human respiration? Thank you children. Have a nice day.